It's pouring rain where I am. I'm Bonnie Halper. I write the the opinionated Startup One Stop newsletters. Some of you are subscribers. I'll put the link in the chat. It comes out every Tuesday morning, and it's always filled with useful links for entrepreneurs as well. And every 2 weeks, we host a virtual breakfast with one investor and a small self-selecting group of entrepreneurs. So everybody gets to introduce him and her or herself and to participate. And Emmanuel, I'm going to turn it over to you. Oh, we want to thank Work2 for hosting us. Christine, tell us about Work2, which is national, by the way. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Christine Heinrich. I'm the Director of Customer Success with Work2. Work2 partners with hotels and restaurants across the country to provide people with safe working spaces. When you are a member of Work2, you're able to book individual seats at these locations, as well as meeting space by the hour for an additional charge. Access to our membership gives you access to our spaces across the country.
And Emmanuel is joining us. He got up very early. He's out in California. So Emmanuel, do you want to introduce yourself first and talk a little bit about yourself and how you fund startups, which I found intriguing, which is why I invited you to come and speak? Or would you like the participants to introduce themselves first so that you get an idea of who's in the room? And then we always open it up to Q&A. So up to you.
I'm happy to introduce myself, although I don't want to sound like, I have to go first at all. I'm noticing that there's a sun glare here. I'm not on these Zooms at this early in the morning usually, but anyway, a reflection. Hopefully that isn't bothering you guys. So my name is Emmanuel de Boucaud, and as Bonnie said, I'm in California. I'm actually in the San Diego area. By way of background, I'm sort of a 20-year recovering entrepreneur that sort of switched over into the investing side of things. And for the last 3 years, which is sort of I think the pertinent topic for today, I've been a general partner of a small fund that invests in people. And when we say people, we actually really mean like the individual. So it's a super early stage investing thesis that says that we believe there's a lot of talented individuals out there in the world that may have a good idea and and have talent, and we want to put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to work as sort of first dollar, first day type of investing. And to do this and to do it at scale, we came up with an investment vehicle, which is what we call a Convertible Income Share Agreement. So at the end of the day, we're looking at individuals' future income potential and participating in that income potential on the upside. And I can go into a bunch of details, but I'll pause there from an introduction perspective, and then we can circle back on the details.
We'll have the participants introduce themselves, and then we'll open it up to Q&A so you guys can ask all the questions you'd like. Matthew, tell us about yourself, briefly.
Sure, briefly. So I'd like to start with saying I'm a 10-time entrepreneur, 2-time successful exits, so a lot of failure and mixed in that. And I like to say that because I feel I've learned a lot more from those failures than the success. And currently I'm doing a little bit of consulting, and I have 2 main projects that I'm a C-level executive on. And let's see what happens with them. So it's fun.
Thank you. So Glenn Lee, do you want to introduce yourself? So I'm just going down my list. Glenn? Oh, maybe. Oh, well, we'll come back to him. Sam, good to see you.
Hi, sorry to join late. I'm on the West Coast, so it's a bit on the early side today.
Well, so is Emmanuel. So there.
There you go. Okay, well, my bad. Anyway, nice to join. I'm Sam Bogosh, CEO of IsleSail. We're a software company making it really easy for video teams and content creators to search and edit video. The reason I'm on the West Coast today is we're exhibiting at VidCon in Anaheim. But then tonight I'll also be up at the TechCrunch Menlo Park summer party tonight. So we have a table there if anyone's going to be at that. Anyway, we're did about $1 million in revenue last year, and we're fairly global, and we have about 800 customers.
Good on you. So June, do you want to introduce yourself? I know you do.
Everybody. My name's June Choi. I'm the managing partner of Serval Ventures, and we're an early stage emerging tech and infrastructure venture builder and investor, heavily focused on data. We are also particularly AI, integration of blockchain and AI. And Emmanuel, to what you're doing, we actually are also trying to create a community of innovators, and we'll be doing a hackathon starting this weekend to do that.
Cool.
Yes, June, you should put the link in the chat so that people can join. Maybe some of the people want to join. It's an ideation
I will.
hackathon. So
No
coding skills.
non-coding. Yeah.
No, non-coding. So Anne, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey friends, my name's Anne. I live in BC. My husband and I are running Lunch with a Local. It's an authentic tourism experience in Washington, BC.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Ian.
Hi, I'm Ian Garbes in Toronto. I am doing Canadian sales and marketing for the Virtual Film School in Hollywood and London, UK. And I just got back from the CASA conference in Vancouver, where I met a lot of interesting investors. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Terrence, good to see you. I know you you nearly had a conflict.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I may be the exception here today, so I'm not currently leading a startup, although I have in the past. I've had 2 successful exits. I won't mention, like Matthew, the ones that weren't successful. But I'm in the digital health space. So I've been a chief technology officer, most recently chief product officer, but I've also been a CEO of a startup. I've recently left my last role as a chief product officer, where I built a software company from scratch to profitability, and looking for my next challenge.
Thank you. Zarin, always happy to see you. Oh, you're muted.
Exactly. So I'm based in Switzerland, Zurich. I have a private banking background. Currently, I work with startups for capital raise and business development in different areas such as data analytics, e-commerce, and 3D streaming.
So Orlando, are you here with us?
Yeah, I am. So
Okay.
I'm just on my lunch break. I'm calling from the UK, and so I'm on my phone. So that's why I don't have like a. Let me just all right. Let me just go to my camera just to prove this. Yeah, you want Florida for life, right? Okay, so Orlando Unity Devs is it's a Unity user group that I run, but I'm up north at the moment. So I'm just keeping my finger on the pulse. But I run a company called Big Win Venture Tech. We're a venture capital kind of scout. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to help founders, innovators, startups, scale up, pre-seed, seed, to access kind of trusted capital. We'll help them with fundraising strategies, help them scale, evaluate their proof of concept, commercialization, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Got we have people from all over the world today. So Lil is at work, and it's difficult for her to introduce herself. So she introduced herself in the chat, and she said that she's an active producer in New York City, investors through WeFunder. So that's Lil. And Lil always asks great questions and always has useful information to share as well. So Emmanuel, you want to tell us more about your investing thesis, or do people have questions? Either way.
I mean, I can add a couple of details if it can spawn some questions.
Sure.
I guess the concept of a convertible income share agreement is really based around from an investor side of things, the view that, you know, angel and friends and family investing is not a great way to get an investment return, right? Unless you are highly active and can get sort of, you know, the power law numbers to work in your favor, where you've invested maybe in 100 deals, the chances of getting a return from, you know, writing 5 and 10 and 25 and 50K checks to super early founders is not good. I mean, you're better off going to play roulette in Vegas, right? So from that side of things, we tried to come up with a framework that was a more favorable way to invest early for an investor. And then we looked at the other side of the coin, which is the founder. And from that perspective, our view was that, and it's, you know, not a super unique or proprietary view in any way. It was just that there are a ton of talented people in all corners of the US and frankly, all corners of the globe that are just not in a position where they have, you know, a rich uncle or an angel group or just access to capital to move from a, hey, I have a great idea to I'm doing this thing, right? And so with that premise in mind, we said, well, you know, let's try to figure out an investment vehicle that is balanced and that is friendly to the founder and friendly to the investor. So we are not looking at all for, you know, unicorns. What we're looking for is talented individuals that can get us a good return. And for us, a good return is sort of 3 times our money. And to do that, we basically blend a standard income share agreement, which is with the individual. And it says, look, if you have income or when you have income, you're going to pay us 10% of your income until you reach somewhere between 1.5 and 2 times the investment value we have put into your venture. And that varies. I'll spare all the details, but that varies as a function of how fast they pay back and how, you know, how they're successful their business is, right? And then the other portion of this vehicle is sort of a modified SAFE. I think everyone knows what a SAFE vehicle is, but that SAFE is tied to the income share agreement. And the idea is we take a piece of equity in the business, but that equity can drop as the income share payments are made. So it's sort of this balanced and correlated concept of saying, hey, if you are able to make ISA payments, right, then we will pull back or enable you to claw back the equity that's in the SAFE. We'll always hold a minimum of a third of the equity we sign on the SAFE, but that's sort of the concept. And so far it's working quite well. We've got about 30 investments over 2 years, but you know, our goal is to be investing in 150 to 200 investments a year. So it's ambitious, but we think there's, you know, and we know, frankly, from all the applications we're getting that there are hundreds, if not thousands of really talented folks out there that could use good capital. So that's a little bit more on it. I'm happy to take questions.
Terrence posted a question in the chat. You want to ask your question? Oh, and Glenn will have a question. Welcome back, Glenn. So Terrence.
Yeah, first of all, Emmanuel, I like this model.
Glenn, 1 second, Glenn. Let Taryn speak and then then you can speak. Thank you.
You sound like me, Glenn. I thought it was my echo for a second there. So Emmanuel, I like this model because it does, it gives a lot more options for the future for a founder. And the VC roller coaster is not for everybody. So one of the companies that I liked in this space was Indie.vc, which closed about a year ago. You may or may not be familiar with them. They had a similar model, but they raised funds from the same sources that normal VCs did. And those normal VCs, and again, we just went through a period where private investments in startups did very well. They weren't getting the same returns, or at least not as quickly. So they found it hard to raise their next fund. Do you still target LPs? Do you target the same investors that invest in VCs, or do you target more angel or other types of investors for your funds?
Good question. Yes, and I do know them, and unfortunate that they had to sort of wind down their activities. But I think it was sort of a consequence of perhaps just what you said, which is having LPs that have this expectation of returns that doesn't match what the investment thesis is. And so to answer your question, right now, our LPs are primarily family offices and high net wealth individuals. We believe that as we scale, that there's going to be an appetite with, let's call them, institutional investors, just as a big umbrella. Although there's different flavors of those, but what we or how we position this is with sort of a hybrid return model structure, right? So there are catalytic type of investors, not quite foundation, benevolent type of investors, but there are a set of investors out in the world that are interested not only in returns, but also what their capital is doing. And there's also a set of investors that are more conservative, debt, structured debt, those type of investors they're not venture style investors, but they like the concept of innovation and putting their capital to work to do good things. But they have more of a debt type of investment expectation, which is I want to see cash flow. I want to see, sort of a return on investment in somewhere in the 3-year time horizon. But I don't need to see, a super high risk reward profile that supposedly is going to get me 5 to 10x my money. I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you.
Glenn.
Hi. Sorry for coming on in because I had a little technical difficulties with my PC, so I came on my phone. Now you can see and hear me. Well, my name is Glenn Lee. I was invited by Lel Ree. I have a startup called the Walkman, and it's in the food space arena. What it is it's a product that goes on your stove, so you can do a perfect stir fry at home. And during the pandemic, it was selling very well. And in fact, it was selling well enough that it caught the attention of the food section in the New York Times, which they call it the walk adapter that really works. So it's been pretty busy here, and now I'm going into another production run, and now I have to contend with tariffs and supply chain and all that. So those are good little problems to have. But I was just tuning in to find out what you guys are all about, investing and all that. And I don't know if, you know, you know, I'm a candidate or not, or or whether I'm looking, but I just wanted to tune in and find out what you guys are all about.
Did you have a question as well? Or,
No, not really. I was listening to Emmanuel and seeing what he was talking about on ROIs and stuff like that, and seeing if there was a fit or whatever.
oh, okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, Emmanuel, could you give us an example of maybe an anonymized example, if you like, of one of the people that you've invested in?
Oh, sure. I mean, there's you can just go on our website and see all of them. Actually, if you want to, it's Chisos, CHISOS.io, and our portfolios there. But you know, on the aggregate, it is a portfolio of individuals that's, you know, I think across 20 states in the U.S. Right now, we only invest in the U.S., but you know, over time, we hope to expand overseas. We do have a partner in the U.K. that's doing the same thing, but it's sort of under their own label. But anyway, the profiles are you know, a nice diverse blend of probably somewhere in the vicinity of 50% female and almost 60% minority or, you know, non-white Ivy League male. And it is, you know, in terms of the businesses or their activities or ventures, it's quite broad. You know, there's our first investment was in a lady in actually in the tri-state area, Tania, that has an ag tech business that makes fertilizer for vertical farming. So, you know, that's sort of in a good zone. We have a gentleman in Chicago that is a B Corp, which is, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with that versus a C Corp structure, but it's a B Corp that is an e-commerce business called Fox and Robin. They make sports apparel that is sort of like a Lululemon style products, but their desire is to actually only source product where the labor costs of the production of these goods is published, right? So they're trying to produce a good product, but also with a cause that is, you know, sort of to address the sort of, you know, child labor concerns and, you know, those type of social impact type of issues. There's a really fun food or, you know, consumer product company here in Southern California called Wynn's Kitchen, which is a natural or, you know, I don't know if you call it non-GMO, but generally healthy Asian sauces product. So she has, you know, launched, she's in revenue with her first product, but has a lineup of another 6 products that she wants to launch under Wynn's Kitchen. So, you know, there's kind of a diversity of, it's not just tech only. And, you know, from a thesis perspective, just to kind of fly back up to about 50,000 feet here, what we look for is scalable and cash efficient businesses. So what that means, I mean, there's, you know, that's an extremely broad investment thesis if you come from the venture world, right? But we do that intentionally because we want to see a lot of different types of deals. And as I said before, we're not looking for unicorns. We're looking for good, healthy businesses that ultimately can have an exit anywhere from 20 to a couple $100 million, and we'll be perfectly happy with that, right? Where was I going with this? So there's no real estate, no biotech, and no sort of retail mom and pop type of, we're not going to invest in an automobile garage type of business or a donut shop. But if it's a franchise for specialty donuts, we'll look at it, right? So very, very, very broad.
Good. Well, I hope that you're able to extend to Canada pretty soon, because I think I know some good candidates.
Oh yeah, by all means, if you know anyone that needs capital or is looking for capital, just point them at our website. Based on the model and to make it scalable, obviously we've developed a technology platform that enables us to quickly be able to review candidates, and it is a semi-automated procedure. So an individual will start by filling out an online application. It's almost like applying for a loan for a home or an automobile, right? So you're telling us a little bit about yourself as an individual, your income history, your credit score, these type of things, where you went to school. And then you tell us about your business, and we kind of walk the diligence path once we've cleared some basic hurdles. So
thank you.
Well, you had said originally that you only invest in the US, and he was asking about Canada. Although the South Park boy said Canada's not a real country anyway. So
well, that's a relatively easy step for us. And the sort of gray line, if there is such a thing between the US and Canada, is that if you can be a C Corp in the US, you don't have to be in the US as an individual. So I don't know if that helps, but
okay.
That's the key component, really. I mean, it's not necessarily a function of where the individual sits physically, but the entity aspect for the safe is critical for us.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
how involved do you get with the startups? Do you offer help and introductions when possible too? Since you do work with a lot of family offices. And
yeah, so there's we set this up to be super scalable, right? So the level of expectation we set is not that we are going to be heavily involved. We don't take board seats, but we've tried to build a bunch of resources that are useful for entrepreneurs. So there's sort of this once you're in the portfolio, you have access to a portal with a ton of sort of best practices type of content about startups, challenges, et cetera. And then we have also started an ecosystem of mentors and service providers. So we can, help point these founders to talent and to, capable folks that can help them on their journey. And we've also pulled together syndicates with investors. So we have a Chisos syndicate on Angel List to provide potential future investors for follow-on investment. So those are things that we can do that are scalable and within reason. Right now we also do things like holding ask me anything, an office hour type of sessions that are a bit like this, right? We just kind of open up a Zoom and we invite the whole portfolio and, just carry on either on a topic or a theme or just, general conversation to help our founders. But it's, it's a one-to-many or a many-to-many type of approach, not one-to-one.
The wisdom of the crowd. Questions? Feel free.
So just to jump in, I was wondering if you can give us like a little bit more of color of the type of entrepreneurs that you look for. I feel like I don't really have a grasp on that yet.
Well, I can repeat what I said. It's very broad, right? We look for individuals that have a business idea, or it might be a going concern. So they might have a business already. They have a need for capital, and their business venture is one that is scalable and capital efficient. And then the individual has income potential. In other words, the downside protection we look for when we're investing is that this person could support payments with reasonable income, right, from another job if that company or that venture fails, right? So that's sort of our net. And when I say net, it's not the mathematic net, but the physical net to protect our downside on the investment, right? So the concept is if Sally has comes from whatever background, but has income potential to the tune of $100,000 type of profession, if you look at it in the corporate setting, then we can justify an investment, because we know that even if that venture fails, they could always go back into the workforce and support that income share agreement that we have with them. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, no, it definitely answered my question. I think to the best of your ability at this point. I guess I should have asked a little more thorough of a question, and let me follow.
Go ahead if that's more specific. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like within the website, you said there's kind of like an automated process to get past, I guess, your first thresholds of due diligence, I guess you could say. So, if you were to give somebody tips on, to overcome the thresholds, would you just say what you just said, or would you give a little more in depth?
Well, I would say, first of all, don't make stuff up. So tell us the way it is, really, right? The thresholds. I mean, it's not a sophisticated, overly sophisticated, I should say, algorithm, right? It's essentially if you're not a U.S. citizen, or if your corporation isn't in the U.S., we can't invest in you, right? So kind of that kind of threshold. And then, there are certain scenarios where, unfortunately, we can't put the risk out there. But, if you have a credit score that's, combined with your income history, combined with your educational background, suggests that it's just too high of a risk to support an investment that is an income share agreement, then it doesn't pass the threshold, right? And it's not like it's not a single credit score number, for example, or a single income level, or a single school. But if you combine all those, or education, if you combine all those things, we have this Chisos score concept. It's about 10 different categories and that we look at and we say, well, this thing is a little bit too risky because we don't think it supports, say a 40K investment, right? If there's no evidence that, the skill set can reach an income level that would support, a burden of a 40K income share agreement, then it won't pass the muster. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. No, that really clarified a lot of things. Thank you.
Sure.
So we have a latecomer, Zen Tilly. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us what you're working on. Everybody, we try to be as inclusive as possible. And you're muted right now.
I thought that was Zaren's avatar.
Oh, is it?
I don't know.
Because Zaren is
No,
there.
there she is. No, it isn't. Never mind.
So Terrence has a question, which he posted in the chat.
It does look like you, Zaren, though. So there is some similarities between the model and a personal loan. There's a personal liability related to the investment, I imagine. Or that's a question, I guess. And then the second part of the question is, how do you handle co-founders?
Yeah, so
good question.
The first part of your question, an income share agreement is a unique instrument. It is not a loan by I can't remember which body in the federal government oversees that. It's not the SEC, but it's a financial agreement, right? And that financial agreement, it is, there's still sort of these things have been around for about 25 years. They're used a lot in the education space. We're sort of the first to have adopted it for entrepreneurship and investing in individuals that aren't in school. They're used in the professional sports world quite a bit, but it's sort of a different framework, right? This is more like, hey, I'm investing in Fernando Tatis when he's 12 or 14 because I see a lot of talent and future income potential. So they sign these income share agreements. So they're a financial obligation. For us, everyone can sort of craft their own income share agreement terms. For us, the terms are, it's a 10-year agreement, and there is no, there's only a monthly payment that's due if you have income, right? So that's part of the flexibility. So generally, the reason we adopted these is that they are very practical or very useful in the entrepreneurial world, where if someone that jumps into a venture isn't going to be paying themselves and doesn't necessarily have income, so they don't have an obligation to pay. And so that's to your first point. To your second point, dealing with co-founders, we have a few investments where we have taken we've split the capital requirement and put it across to two founders, but you sort of have to go through the process separately so that we can assess each individual, but it's doable.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And that actually brought up something else. Thank you, Terrence. I appreciate that because it made me think of something. So if you do this exact type of investment, do you guys look at any other types of investments? Do you do like stage A, stage B, round A, B, C? Do you do deeper rounds, or is it literally just?
No, we do not currently, and I'm not sure that we will. What we certainly do, though, is a lot of sort of deal flow exchange, right? So we have this sort of business development partnership activity where we partner not only with early stage VCs, but with incubators and accelerators. And that's how we get a lot of our deal flow, is to basically talk to those folks and say, hey, anything that is too early for you, send to us, we'll look at it. Meanwhile, when after we invest, we encourage a lot of our founders to get involved with accelerators and incubators to propel them to the next stage. Just because, to Bonnie's prior question, we don't have the resources to do, sort of hands-on mentoring and so on. But we have all these partnerships where we'll send or recommend our portfolio founders to go into the processes. And then as they reach new thresholds and have higher capital requirements, then we're sending our founders to certain venture investors that fit the mold. But again, not all of our portfolio founders are suitable for venture investing, right? These may not be profiles that are looking for a home run or targeting a $1 billion exit, right?
All right, thank you.
Sure.
And just a question regarding the investors, is there like a time where they can expect to get return for their investment? Like how much?
Yeah, thanks for that's a good question. I love those softball questions. So, we, with our investment vehicle, it's a debt equity hybrid type of vehicle. So whereas, if you're an LP in a traditional venture fund, unless it is extremely successful, you put your money in, usually it's 5 to 10 year hold, right? And you're hoping you're going to get some distribution sooner, but realistically, that's sort of the window. But you're also hoping that the returns are going to be 5, 10x plus, right? Our model is actually a cash flow model. So, we opened our first fund just about 2 years ago. We've already returned 15% of invested capital because every quarter we get ISA payments. Those ISA payments go right back to the investors, right? So it's a different type of investment strategy, and it's more of a cash flow debt equity hybrid type of instrument. Does that answer?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and to add one more point, we make distributions every quarter to our investor base, right? So, and that's just the distribution is a function of the ISA payments we've received.
And so, as long as they stay investors, they keep getting these payments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next question.
Well, then that brings up another interesting question too. That what's your minimum investment from an investor? Would you take a
our minimum
$200,000 check?
Yeah, well, our minimum is actually $50K right now. So for fund two, yeah, it's as I said, sort of, high net wealth family offices. We've taken bigger checks clearly, but we have a low minimum because we like to bring in folks that believe in this investment approach, and the more the merrier. I mean, we can only take 100 investors per fund, but we're definitely happy to have a bigger group than small.
Okay. Did this evolve out of your own experience as a founder?
It actually evolved from two perspectives. My co-founder was coming out. He's in his late 20s, so he's younger than I. And I met him through a venture that we were involved in together. And he was coming out of that scenario, and his background is, he went to the University of Texas, got a degree in finance, worked for a family office for some years, and worked in M&A for Morgan Stanley, I think, prior to that. So, sort of cut his teeth in that arena. I met him through activities, raising money with his family office. Long story short is he was thinking about something new, and it dawned on him that, he needed to raise capital, and he really didn't have like an entrepreneurial track record at all. But he's like, man, why wouldn't people invest in me? I have, an interesting finance background. I have a cool idea here. Why can't I get capital from a source? I can't go to a bank because I'm just starting this business. Why can't I get capital? And so that was the genesis. And, not to get into the gory details, but I was coming out of a traditional venture fund and considering a revenue-based financing, raising a revenue-based financing fund, which I'm sure a number of you guys have heard about, for sort of, growth stage tech in Southern California. That was the zone I was thinking about. And I reconnected with Will, my co-founder, and we started talking about what his idea was. And we kind of merged in the middle because, he was thinking about this concept of early stage investing with an income share agreement. We hadn't completely gelled on how the instrument would work. And I was coming from the, hey, angel investing really kind of sucks from an investor perspective. That's the truth, right? It's like, man, I've made, 15 of these things, and, it's basically, you write a check and then you wait and you pray, right? And that's not the greatest investment strategy, I guess, is the best way to say it. So
you need a lot of patience. You need
a lot of patience and a lot of checks you got to write. And quite honestly, if you write a 3 to 5 or even a 10K check, the return on that is not going to be that exciting at the end of the day anyway, right? It's not going to be life changing. So it's kind of just a not a wonderful thing. But meanwhile, investing in innovation and early stage, founders is really good for the economy. It's, from an investor perspective, you feel like you're doing good things, right? You're helping someone try to achieve something big, et cetera. So anyway, we converged on this concept because I, was frustrated with angel investing, and he happened to be coming from sort of the entrepreneurial side. And we said, we got to figure out something that is a win-win.
We had an investor who spoke at one of our breakfasts who called friends, family, and fools, referring to angels.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you pay attention to school, that you ask about school as well. Is it important that they attended a school, or do you put more weight on the Ivies, which I always find irritating?
No,
even though
we don't. Definitely do not put weight on the Ivies at all. We just what we do is try to, there's when you look at kind of broadly the demographic of candidates, you tend to have younger folks, right? That may just be out of school or may not be in school, but don't have a ton of income track record. So we have to look for something that will give us sort of a projection out to what their income potential could be in the labor force, right? So we're trying to figure out, okay, well, did they attend a trade school? Are they, a software developer, or are they, do they have experience in a particular trade, that translates into, hey, in the professional world, this is what you can earn, right? And then we can also look at a more mature founder that may, have graduated 25 years ago and gone through a professional career, or, it might have been a straight line, a couple companies and very straightforward in a particular industry, or may have bounced around. But that profile will have more income history that we can lean on, and, the schooling doesn't really matter. So it's kind of, a bit of art and a bit of science trying to figure out and triangulate what their future income potential is. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're betting on if the business doesn't work.
Thank you for being here, Terrence. Anybody else? Any last questions before you go, Terrence? I know you have.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Hi.
Sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Wen's sources. Could you tell me, or Wen's?
Yeah, that's right. You got a wok business, so it's WYNN Kitchen, Wynn's Kitchen.
WYNN
and with an apostrophe S, Wynn's Kitchen.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Right. All right. And they make sauces?
Yeah. Yeah, sauté sauces and
okay, because I may be looking for a stir fry sauce.
all right. Well, she's probably I'm not an expert in all these details, but she's probably someone you can talk to. You can see her profile on our website if you want to go to Chisos, CHISOS.io.
Okay, I'll look at that. I'll look up their site, Wynn's Kitchen, and go from there. I appreciate it. I appreciate you mentioning her, and you didn't get much detail, but I can look her up.
Yep. Happy to help.
And by the way, this is what it looks like.
I see it. It looks like, it's someone surfing on a wok. That's kind of cool.
That's right. It's my it's the superhero, and he's on a flying walk.
All right.
You have walk hey.
Walk on.
Yeah, walk on.
Right on.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. That was the end of my question. I'll do my research from here.
You got it.
Well, Mendel, I was going to ask if you wanted to share your contact information. Up to you.
Sure. Here, I can type it in. Nice and easy. You need more than that, or is an email enough?
Oh, that's fine. And if people do contact you directly, would you prefer that they reference the breakfast so you have some context rather than it being a cold email?
If it can help with your advertising, I'd be happy to. Yeah, no, no, whatever. You can, whatever reference you want to make, so that I know where you came from is great. But anything else?
Anybody else have?
I had a quick question. Yes, Emmanuel, how have current market conditions affected your company, or do you think that they will at some point?
Geez, that's a that's a good one. Our company per se, or the fund, I don't know that we've seen anything dramatic. Our belief is that it should be helpful. That might not be us drinking our own Kool-Aid, maybe, but the reality is, as market conditions tighten, the realities of investment return become a lot more clear. And our position between having cash flow returns and a realistic outcome to a 3x return that we can justify and show a path towards should be pretty interesting to investors that like innovation, but that are maybe not quite comfortable with putting money out that's going to be sitting in a venture pool for 6 to 10 years before they see any return. So that's sort of the optimistic side. The reality is generally when the tide goes out, there's less capital. So it might also be tougher for us to raise future funds, just like everyone else. So that's sort of the investment side of things. On the entrepreneur and demand side, I think we're the bigger trends are the trends we're tracking, which are that the concept of investing in people is being supported by things like the Great Resignation, people wanting to have more freedom, wanting to do their own thing. There's also I didn't talk about it too much, but we're actually looking at extending beyond entrepreneurship and with our investment thesis into creators, artists, and athletes. We're not there yet. We haven't opened any funds that focus on that, but we're looking at it pretty closely. And we think that there's a lot of talent out there that really isn't going to be trying to build a business. They're just going to be trying to build a successful outcome for themselves.
Right.
And
your company reminds me, there's an agency in New York which represents individuals, right? And I think in the tech, people in the tech sector in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it got a lot of press a few years ago. And
like a PR agency or marketing?
No, it's like a representation agency.
Oh, really?
Right, and they find promising tech people who haven't made it yet, and they sign a contract with them, and then they try to get them gigs, essentially. And I think they're still around. I've seen them mentioned in the Times a few times over the years. I haven't checked on them recently, but your organization kind of reminds me a little bit of them. There's some slight overlap, I think.
Yeah. We don't think of ourselves as agents, but it is true that we're looking for talented people. So
yeah. So if I find it, I'll send it to you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
They represent tech talent or all kinds of talent. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, but this agency decided to focus on highly skilled technical people.
Oh.
They figured it was a niche, As far as I know, they're still around. So I will check it out and I'll send it to you too as well.
Yeah, we've started to look at the creator, artist, and athlete worlds, and in that wouldn't call it formalized research, but ad hoc research, we've come across agency profiles, but they're more traditional. Hey, we're an agency that's looking for artist talent, or we're looking for musical talent, or we're looking for athletic talent, those types, but not tech talent. That's interesting.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I'll find it and I'll send it away.
That'd be great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've never heard of this either.
Yeah, I'll send it to you too as well.
Okay, thank you. So anybody else have a question or a comment they want to make?
I actually have a question.
Okay.
It's more just feedback, but one of the things we're kicking around is we've built this platform that enables us to make this type of investing and to source a bunch of interesting, talented founders, and we're trying to decide if there's an opportunity that's sort of tangential to what we're doing, which is to say, if you start with the thesis that friends and family investing kind of sucks, the reason for that is mostly that it's equity-based investing, right? So for an investor, it's like, when am I going to see any return? and but there is a huge need, right? The reality is today, still, despite what we're doing, a majority of the capital that gets put out for first day or super early stage entrepreneurship is friends and family money, right? So the thesis, the idea we have is to say, well, maybe what we should do is open this platform out and enable friends and family investing using our convertible income share agreement concept, but more of a marketplace concept where Sally can say, hey, I'm going to go on the site, I'm going to set up the parameters of how much money I'm looking to raise, what the income share agreement terms are. Very easy. It's going to be 10 years. I'm willing to share 10% of my income up to X amount. And it's sort of like a self-serve. I'm going to define the terms, and then the system enables you to shoot out an email to 10, 15, 20 friends and family and say, hey, would you support me in my endeavor? And just make that a tool per se for the masses. So I'm just curious, based on that description, if it's like
I think it's a great idea. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I really have no real investing background, but I think that's a great idea because you actually can set those parameters and not have it be, like take it a step away from being so personal, but then it's like laid out for them to see and understand this is what you're signing up for. That way they have a place to reference back to. And I think it maybe helps avoid some of those like uncomfortable conversations.
And it gives them a return on their investment as well.
Yeah, that's great feedback, though. It's, what we've speculated, because again, we're just ideating at this point, but what we speculated is that there's, in a lot of these friends and family investing scenarios, there's like zero paperwork, right? Here's my check and handshake at best, and please, remember me at some point type of thing. And that's not great for anybody, right? Because there's no record of it. There's no, tracking. There's no mechanism to even for the founder that took the money to say, hey, I can now shoot you a first payment back and so on.
Yeah, sure. And life changes. People get sick. People die. I mean, it's really, no,
it's true. It's true. Yeah. Very true. Anyway, yeah, that's any other feedback on that concept?
Yeah, when are you planning on launching this, or this is still in the ideation stage?
It is a little past ideation, but we are not quite ready to say when we would launch this thing. Yeah.
I was going to say when you're ready to launch it. I'm happy to post that in my newsletter because it's read by a lot of founders, and they do get friends and family rounds, and I'm sure that they'd love this.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's we still have to build this, so it's a few months out if and when we're pretty sure we're going to do this, but we're trying to figure out like how we could do a skunk works process to get early indicators to say, hey, rather than spend X number of dollars building this platform and hoping they will come, actually trying it and seeing if the whole process can be smooth and is valuable to both sides and so forth, and then building it as a platform.
I think there's a vast appetite for something like that.
Yes.
And if you look at something like GoFundMe, and I know it's not the same thing, but GoFundMe works for a lot of use cases, right?
Yeah.
People seem to be quite prepared.
Yeah, very true. Oh.
So Manuel, I have a question. How do you think you would make money off of that though? Would you take a cut of it, or would you be more of a subscription-based model? What are you thinking?
Good question. We'd like it to be a subscription model.
Hmm.
Right now, we're trying to figure out, how we create value for both the founders and the investors. How we can do this without it being, a burden, but still being, monetized at a reasonable level. I don't know if it's like, okay, well, we're going to charge, $5 or $10 a month for the founders so that they have access to this thing. And it's a almost like a communication portal between them and the investors.
Yeah.
Or
CRM.
Yeah. Essentially a simple CRM or, like an IR, investor relations thing, right?
Yeah.
Or is it, we have to be careful of all the securities laws and all the, regulatory stuff. So we're not going to take a percentage of the investment. But maybe, we have a fee that is for the investors that says, hey, you can pay us a one-time fee of $100 or, whatever, $20, $30 a year. And the benefit to you on top of your investment is that you can track all this stuff. You have a dashboard, if you will, so that you know what's going on. And oh, by the way, you also have an automated way to get your payments from the founder you just invested in. So I don't know.
A payment structure set up within it too. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's a peer-to-peer, right? We're not touching money. We don't want to be touching money. It would just be, Stripe and all these other ways to say, hey, Peter's going to pay Sally this much on our platform.
You're almost a WeFunder alt.
Yeah.
It's sort of this. I don't know if you guys have seen. There's a startup that got funded that kind of, truth be told, gave us the impetus to start thinking about this. It's called Party Round. It's a mobile app.
I've heard of it.
It's a mobile app that basically just enables equity-based investing. So, as a founder, if you're looking for seed or Series A money, it kind of automates that for you. So I'm not sure of all the feature function details of it, but that's the concept. So we're sort of taking that idea and bringing it down to the friends and family world and adopting the income share agreement investment vehicle, which is our sort of secret sauce. And yeah, it's sort of, Party Round meets WeFunder or something like that.
And just a further question, would it have to be the income-based model, or would you leave it open to entrepreneurs to decide that?
TBD. We firmly believe that the income share agreement is a good flexible vehicle for entrepreneurs and useful for founders or for investors, excuse me. But the reality is, if you set the income share agreement structure up, but you leave the terms up to the founder, you can get to scenarios that are, there's zero equity. If someone doesn't want to offer equity, and high thresholds on the cap for income, right? So you could accommodate for all kinds of different scenarios.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was wondering how that would potentially muddy the waters from your side, Emmanuel. But if it's up to the founders, that's different.
Yeah. Well, we're still early, so I don't have the answer. We got to figure that out, and that's why we got to test this a little bit and dig in some more. It's conceptual right now. We think there's something there, but not all baked, as they say.
Oh, I think there's definitely something there. Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
I would just say too, from, an educational standpoint, if it's the person investing money and it's family money and maybe they just don't understand the process or how long it would take for them to get money back or through returns. So I think even just having, a third party outlined, this is the process, even that probably would help a lot of those situations.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sort of a little bit of validation or a little bit of help for someone who's considering and helping someone else to understand what they're getting themselves into. Yeah, very true.
I put a link, and there's you can download. It's a free angel investing booklets. It's a very quick read, but very useful. Sometimes tips and how to create your records, like what to look for, all of these things explained.
Oh, cool. Maybe we can get an electronic version of that and put it into the portal. That's neat. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was a good resource. Thank you. Yeah, seriously.
I mean, they say something like don't reproduce, etc. That's why I just put it so you put your thing. I don't want you to be in trouble with this organization.
No, I won't, but I'll have a look. But it always spawns ideas for sure.
Yes, definitely. It's a very neat little book, I found.
Cool. Well, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate that. And the encouragement. I think I heard mostly positive feedback.
Yeah, there was too much excitement in the room. It's like, where's the product?
Right. I know, it's always so disappointing. Well, it's still a few months away. Yeah, it's tech.
Yeah.
Takes time to sort out and build. And test.
Yeah.
And test.
And develop further.
And
test some more.
And iterate.
Yes.
So
true. That's what many founders forget. That's iteration is a big part of building a company.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So any other questions, or do you have any more questions for us, Emmanuel? Perhaps we're here for you.
No, I think that is great feedback, and I really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate the questions, and happy to take any details offline. You have my emails, so yeah, shoot.
Is it I sent you a LinkedIn request? Hopefully that's okay. Cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
More than happy. Thank you.
Cool.
So any last questions or any last sage words of advice for our participants here? Emmanuel? Either side of the table is fine.
My, stay out of the rain. No, I really enjoyed it, Bonnie. Appreciate for the opportunity, and happy to come back and participate in any way.
When you have your platform done, and I know it's a few months, I'd love for you to come back and tell us about it again and talk about it.
Well, if we decide to take the plunge,
right,
I certainly will. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that too. And thank you for waking up early. I know it's very early for you and for Matthew.
Thanks for coffee.
Me too. The brain woke me up. I've had like 3 hours of sleep, so I'm very tired today. So thank you, everybody. Unless anybody has one last remark, I want to thank Emmanuel for participating, and for all of you for being here. And you know how to get in touch with him if you need to. And our next breakfast is in 2 weeks. We have them every other Thursday. And thank you, WorkChew, for hosting us as always. And have a wonderful day, everybody. And hopefully it'll stop raining here soon. We've already had it over almost 2 inches. Take care, everybody.
Enjoy your days. Take care.
You
Everyone.
too.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.